Rudi died on February 21st, 1973. He was in a small plane with 3 of his students, traveling north from New York City to give a talk in upstate New York. He was flying not too far really from Big Indian when the plane crashed in a dense fog. Rudi had always said that when he died, his heart would explode into a million pieces, and in fact, his heart exploded on the plane. He took the full brunt of the crash, and he was the only one who was killed. There were those of us who sensed that Rudi had a premonition that his end was near. He had invited all of the teachers from all of the ashrams throughout the country to be in the city that weekend. So we were all there, all together, when Rudi died. The last class that Rudi gave was a class in which he talked about what to do when someone dies. And he instructed us by saying that when someone leaves this world, send all the love you possibly can into the void they leave behind. We were prepared, we were ready, to the extent that anybody can be ready for such a shock. But the news of Rudi's death was overwhelming, because if there was ever one person who could not die and would not die, it would have to be a spiritual teacher. Rudi was a kind of infinite, endless energy, and it was impossible to think that that energy could ever come to an end. And yet the extraordinary awakening for all of us was that 1, Rudi could die, and 2, that the energy did not end. Rudi's energy was as alive to us after he left his body as it was when he was in his body. It was one of the great teachings to know and to be aware that that energy was and remains infinite and eternal. It's a very big shock when a teacher passes and all the other students have to figure out now, can I sustain this teaching? In some ways, his departure was one of the great gifts that a teacher gives a student. Rudi's legacy to us was always about death and rebirth, that when something dies, something new grows. And each of us were learning that for Rudi's work to continue in the world, it was now up to us to sustain it. Rudi's work was never about him. Rudi's work was always about life as the teacher. Rudi always believed that the teaching will continue beyond any individual. And his passing left us with life. It left us with the memory of Rudi as a man who truly loved life and every aspect of life. He took every bit of energy that life had to offer and more. He sat at the table of life and he ate from the meal of life. It was a major buffet for Rudi, and he could not take enough of this world. The best way for us really to honor Rudi is to eat at the table that he set, to reinvigorate ourselves with the energy that he gave us, and to transmute every bit of life, its joy, its suffering, its happiness, its sadness, into something greater, an energy of true transformation that allows us to grow from life, in spite of life, with life. That was Rudi's teaching. When Rudi passed, there was a hole left in all of us, and an emptiness, and a nothingness. But Rudi's teaching was always to become nothing and to become empty. And in that nothingness and emptiness is something profound and real. To become empty and to become nothing is to become truly free. To be attached to one's teacher, to be in a state of mourning for their loss, is to miss the point entirely. What we loved about Rudi could not and cannot die. And the extraordinary thing is that all of these decades later, it has not diminished, it has not lessened at all. Rudi's energy is as alive and well in us today as it was all those years ago, because as he taught us then and as he has proven to us now, it is a timeless energy. There are many people teaching Rudi's work. Finding a teacher is really an essential part of the spiritual tradition. Who is the right teacher for you? Nobody can tell you. You have to find your teacher through your own search, through your own effort. But the teacher will always appear. The whole idea of a teacher is that they point you not toward them, but toward you, toward who you are in the deepest and most real part of your being. And those of us who knew Rudi were deeply fortunate to have had that experience. But that energy did not die with Rudi. It is here as I speak. It is here in the world. It is here in you. It never goes anywhere. It is always available. Find it. Find the teacher. Find the place in yourself. Let life teach you what that energy is, because that is the energy of transcendence. It is the energy of transmission. It is the energy of the joy and bliss of being.